Hello, everyone. They said something funny right before I enter live. Are you really passionate about it? Are you really a fan of something or passionate about something to the point that you would go maybe meet someone and have hours and hours and hours of discussions, but sometimes you don't have the opportunity to talk with somebody about that thing that you love? What if I told you there is a whole universe online where you could meet with people that have the same interest and you can do a lot of stuff, even create your own language, according to Thais here. More after our intro. Hello, Thais.
Hello.
I remember to do that. Yes. Good. Before we start, please introduce yourself.
Hello guys, my name is Thais Pampado. I'm a social media analyst here at Times. I've been working here for around a month, so kind of a newbie, but I'm usually the one you're talking to when you're messaging us on socials, and I'm usually, yeah, please, and I'm usually the one behind the camera. So this is kind of a new experience for me today.
Oh, nice. Gonna give you a whole new perspective. So what exactly, how exactly did you start doing what you do? Was this a thing that you like it since you were a kid? Was like an accident? What led you to that?
It was, I think, a lot of things combined, but I've been in social media since very early because of the online fan communities. I started participating then, I think I was in 11 or 12 years old. I was really, really young. And it's always been like a huge part of my life, like being online. And I've also really enjoyed writing and reading since I was young. So I majored in publishing. And after I graduated, I got the chance to start working with social media, with copywriting specifically for social media. So it was kind of like joining both things together, the writing part and the social media part. So I ended up kind of like starting it and really enjoyed it. And I ended up here right now. Yeah.
Nice. I remember studying a little bit of it when I was studying propaganda. There was a whole marketing thing, some things about the public relations that we had to consider. And I was fascinated when we studied mass manipulation techniques. We studied Edward Bernays and other people. But the intention in my course back then, it was like, how can I understand what the target audience wants? And then I can do the match. Here's the product or service, and it matches what you want. You mentioned something about social media, copywriting. When you start studying this at the university, what is like the main goal? You're gonna learn how to do this, so it's a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, I think there's like many components to it. There's like the writing, of course, and what you said about connecting what you're trying to convey with what the person needs. But I think that what I've seen, like actually working on it, is that it's a lot about the community aspect of it. It also translates into even like companies and stuff. You see it a lot nowadays with like brands building communities around their brand, around their products. And I think that's something that's very present in social media. It's facilitated by it. And it ends up working well for marketing as well, because you connect people who are interested in the same thing. So yes, it goes beyond offering a product. You're offering an experience through that connection.
It creates like a lifestyle. two examples that really stuck in my head was the Harley Davidson, like you cannot have a Harley, but you're gonna buy a cap or a keychain or something, and Apple users too. It becomes like a cult. Like,
with Apple especially.
If they have to use your phone and you are an Android user, they have such a disgust in their face, like, oh, it's Android. It's a phone, man. I'm not giving a bad animal or anything like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of diehard Apple fans.
Yeah, but this is, for example, in terms of branding and marketing, is kind of the main goal, that people love your brand so much that they do not only see as like you are just here to solve a problem that I have, but it's part of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I also think about Red Bull doing those events, where people create fake airplanes or those card box racing stuff. It's an energy drink, but it goes beyond.
Nice. Yeah, you have a lot of brands doing that. You have like those super coffee brands, stuff like that. Live, who does the yoga events, for example, for people, and I think it's really cool because it also helps people just connect with others, and also in terms of like these brands that are promoting a healthy lifestyle, for example, you're incentivizing people to go exercise and have fun and stuff. So I think that this is really interesting, and it's, in a way, I don't know if that's where the inspiration came from, but I see it as really, really, really similar to what we see in online fan communities, also known as fandoms, but just brought to like corporate perspective.
Yeah, it is quite similar. And while you were describing some things before we start the broadcast, I was thinking, why fandoms exist? That was the question in my head, something that I wanted to ask. The impression that I have is we have this kind of I don't know, it's like a inner need to connect to other people. Like, we are social beings, and it could be like the group of guys that go to play snooker in that cheap bar of the the neighborhoods, or it could be the group of people that you meet in the place that you go and walk with your dogs or other dog owners. So we find ways to connect, and I saw this a lot in the pandemics. It was the first time that I discovered Discord. Like, it is a thing that exists and people talk a lot.
Yeah.
So one thing that you mentioned that is amazing, it connects. It connects you to people that you have a similar interest, but you don't have the geographic limitation. So, have you ever met people from other countries in these groups?
I haven't met them in person, haven't had the chance to yet, but I have met people from all over the world. Like, I've always participated mainly in English-speaking fandoms, but that doesn't mean it's only native speakers. So you have people, I've talked to people from Germany, from Indonesia, from Russia, from literally all over the world. You have people like communicating, and sometimes like I've even gotten really close to them. Like, one of my best friends nowadays is from the US. I've never met her, but like I invited her to my wedding, and unfortunately she wasn't able to attend. But it really goes beyond the physical aspect of it. You're really just like meeting like-minded people, and I think that that's the wonderful thing about it.
No, it's amazing. And okay, now for people that don't know exactly how it works, can you explain, like, I'm 5 years old, what is a fandom? And how does it work? What you can find there?
Okay, so starting like by the word itself, because I know not a lot of people are familiar with it, but fandom would be like the term we use for these online fan communities, and it literally comes from the word fan, obviously, and kingdom. So you can kind of get like the gist of it. So it would be like kingdom of the fans, realm of the fans. So it's basically these communities that appear around a series, a TV show, a movie. It can be literally anything, an artist, K-pop artists, for example. The fandoms tend to be very famous. But it's basically when a lot of people who are fans of the same thing gather and start discussing, talking about it, creating theories, sharing art, writing, basically anything you can think of. And usually there isn't like a limitation in terms of the location, or like, oh, fandom only happens here or there. You have fandom communities in conventions, for example, like Comic-Con or Anime Fest. But online, the main platforms used are social media platforms. Nowadays, mostly Discord and Twitter, though you have fandom like literally anywhere where you have a group of fans, you have a fandom.
We discovered something amazing. There is even like a secret code that you can do to identify someone.
Yeah, that's there used to be one in before Twitter. Tumblr was the main platform for like fandoms, especially for like anime and manga. And there was a secret code supposedly that you could use when you wanted to check if someone else was also a part of fandom in Tumblr, but you didn't want to like be obvious about it, so you had to ask them, you had to tell them, I like your shoelaces.
It's and so that random. And then imagine, thank you so much. So who is your favorite?
Yeah, like you had to pray for the person to actually be in fandom, otherwise you would just be like a creep or something.
Yeah, I like your shoelaces.
Who's this crazy person? Like, okay.
I forget to see the reply. As,
yeah.
Maybe what if the person says
I think
like,
there was a follow-up that you had to, but I can't remember it right now. There must have been one, yeah.
I like your shoelace, I like your eyes. And then what do I do from here?
Yeah,
I love your hat. I say, I'm not wearing a hat. You know.
Yeah, but I think like if the person started side-eyeing you, you probably already knew that they weren't part of fandom, and it's just like, okay, bye.
Yeah. Damn. You mentioned Tumblr, that it was like the birthplace of it. Do you have any notion what were the first series or mangas or animes to actually have a fandom that you could say it's a fandom? This is the first one of the oldest fandoms of all time, or something like this.
I don't know for sure, but from what I've seen in fandom culture, I think that the first ones that you hear about is Star Trek, because when it comes to fan fiction, for example, which is the writing people do based on characters, pre-existing characters, people used to talk about like, especially people whose parents were part of fandom. They were like, oh, my mom used to write Star Trek fan fiction, and back in the day there wasn't like internet or something like that, or there was like a ban on this stuff on the internet. So they would like email each other fanfics, or just like write it and mail each other.
Man,
so I think that's the earliest that I can think of like actually something resembling the fandom that we have today.
It's like I imagine people meeting somewhere to have discussions about the thing. Oh, let's have our tea party now, or open a beer, and then that's nice. So you mentioned something interesting that we will talk more about that later. But one of the things that happens in this place is the free creation of content related to the series or the show. Okay. What normally happens there is like you were talking a lot about alternative endings or variations. For example, Goku in vacation in Copacabana would be something like this, silly. Even
there's like the range is pretty huge actually, but that's pretty much it. Like, because you have people just contributing however they can, you have people with all kinds of skills, basically wanting to share their passion for something.
Nice.
So I think the most popular ones, because they're the ones that people do the most, are fan art and fanfic, which would be artworks, and fan fiction, it's the writing based on a story character. But basically there's not a rule for it. You have people doing like embroidery, or just like fan edits, videos, AMVs, and a lot of things. But I think that the wonderful thing is that there really isn't a limit to it. So you can be silly, like you can write like you said about Goku going on a trip that someone might have written, because there really is like a lot of things things people have written. You could write about like crossovers between fandoms are very common. So you could write about Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen meeting Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Like, what if they met? How would that play out? You can write about it.
He wouldn't have done. Oops.
Spoiler. But so there are these silly pieces, but there are also the really deep pieces, because especially with writing, which is what I do. I write fic, so that's the part of I have the most contact with. But you have people doing like character studies, for example, so they really dig deep into a character and just like analyzing their motivations, or being like, how would they react if they were put in this specific situation.
This is very interesting, especially if you're into psychology.
You have actual psychologists who are part of fandom, so sometimes they're writing. Like, there was a thread on Twitter that I saw someone from the Honkai Star Rail fandom, which is a game, and I think they were just like analyzing some of the characters and the connections between them, and I think it was Roman mythology, like how certain things found in the mythology reflected in the character, and it's like really interesting to see like all these different perspectives.
Oh, I imagine doing this with Lord of the Rings, with The Witcher, Game of Thrones. I found this YouTube channel. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the channel, but it's easy to find. It's a psychologist that she analyzes Berserk and the episodes. And Berserk is very deep and very tragic, and it's like a dark fantasy, so a lot of violence and horror. But for example, she will get something that happens in the story and will treat like it's her patients, like this is the syndrome, or what is happening is similar what happens, blah 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 blah. It's really interesting because you will find people that are struggling with something that would get inspired by the characters, and will the whole conversation about feeling represented, you will take to another level. Like, oh my god, this person in this story knows how I suffer because of something similar. And I imagine something like this. Yeah,
you actually see a lot of people, I say writing, but artists do that as well. But you have actually very deep stories. Like, people take the existing characters, but sometimes that's all they take, because you don't really have to stick to the universe they were originally in. So we have what it's called alternate universes. So you can create like this whole new world that you created yourself, but it just has like the existing characters. And a lot of people use that to even process like emotions. I think one of the best fics that I've ever read, I think I've reread it like 3 times, and I cried like a baby literally every single time I read it. And it was literally a fic about grief and dealing with grief. And like the author said in the author's note that like, this fic is really personal to me because I was going through something similar when I wrote it, so it's kind of like cathartic to write it down. So you get a lot of things like that. So it's literally everything you have, from the silliness until people like dealing with trauma and using that as an outlet for their emotions. So I think that it's really wonderful in that way.
No, it's amazing. And I was thinking here, when you find a safe space that you could do that, because I imagine some people, they would create like not a character, but like an avatar to go and post stuff, so they protect their own identity. Like you said, maybe it's a lawyer, maybe it's a doctor, but there no, it's just somebody writing about One Piece, about, I don't know, Jujutsu or something like that, without being judged, with other people that also have this passion. So it's amazing. Like you said, it's like a type of therapy. You have a place to channel all those feelings and emotions and ideas. In general, would you say that is like a safe space? Because it's on the internet, so we have the trolls and all of that.
Yeah, I think you can make a safe space within it. It's like people who have been in fandom for a while are going to tell you, like, you have to curate your own experience. Because, like you said, there are going to be the trolls. There are going to be people with issues that should be in therapy, but are in fandom instead. So
you can do both, okay? It's
yeah,
not one
like
or
please
the other.
do both. Yeah, both help. But so it's like there are going to be people like that, just like in the real world, there are going to be people like that. These are real people in there. I think that's the most important thing to remember. But you can create like a safe space and find people who think like you or who you are comfortable with. Like I said, my closest friends are people that I met through fandom, like online.
Your maids of honor you met there. What's this story about?
It's actually a funny story because since I'm part of the English-speaking side of fandom, there are obviously communities speaking all kinds of language, but I was always in the English side of it. And usually people just default to English, because that's what everybody speaks. And we were in a project for the My Hero Academia fandom. And we just started talking. We found out that we both like BTS, the band, and we were just talking, and after a while, I don't know how it came up, but I don't know, one of us said something and it was like, oh, you're from Brazil? I'm from Brazil too. What? And we've been speaking English all this time. And then it was really funny because we'd been speaking, I don't know, I think it was 1 or 2 months we'd been speaking for, and we were speaking in English, but both of us spoke Portuguese.
Yeah.
And then it was we met through fandom, but then it was a few months before BTS came on their Speak Yourself tour in Brazil. So since we both liked it, we were like, hey, you want to go together? Okay, so the first time we actually met in person,
nice.
was to go to the concert, and that was in 2019. So ever since then, we just kept in contact. We talked to almost every day, and I ended up inviting her to be my maid of honor in my wedding a couple months ago. So it's and I met her online speaking English.
Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something that you learned and developed a good portion of your English in those communities, right?
Yeah, I am mostly self-taught in English, and it was because of fandom that I started, because I actually remember it was specifically a Harry Potter fan fiction that I was reading the translation of it, but I don't know if the translator dropped or if they were being really slow, and I started getting really frustrated, and I was like, I want to read this, I don't want to wait. So I picked up my dictionary. It was those actual dictionaries. We didn't have Google Translate. It was a Michaelis, I think. But yeah, I was with my dictionary, and then I started just reading, translating, and that's how I ended up
really
learning.
Motivated to read all this stuff.
I was no, I want to read.
And then Harry entering the chat.
I've always liked languages, but yeah, I've always liked languages, but that was I think the spark to actually start getting into it. And because later I started being in the interactive part of it, communicating with people, discussing theories and stuff, then I started really practicing. So to this day, I speak, or not necessarily speak, but read and type in English every single day because I'm interacting with fandom.
And a lot of students sometimes they complain out of the school I have no one to talk. That would be an amazing way to start, because you would meet people that are linked to that thing that you like or you have a passion about it. So you already have the motivation and the subject, and you can make friends.
Yes,
it's amazing.
And they can even become your bridesmaids or something like that later.
You can meet the wife or the husband of your dreams there. Who knows?
It's happened before. I've seen people talking about it.
I think I said this, but I have a friend that she met. She's Brazilian, and she met her husband playing tibia. American.
Oh my god.
And she visited there, got married there. It's crazy. I said, man, playing tibia, and people say that nerds are bad at flirting, you see? Playing tibia. So yeah.
Just gotta ask if you like her shoelaces.
Imagine starts like that. And okay, nice. You mentioned that it all started with your desire to write and read. What were the things that you liked to read as a kid?
I think the first one's an obvious one, which is Harry Potter. Like I said, also my first fandom. But I've always really liked fantasy as a whole. So I really enjoyed like Lord of the Rings. Harry Potter, I used to read a lot, but I've also recently really enjoyed reading 𝗍𝗂𝗧𝗏, Victoria Schwab. I've also read a lot of horror, so Stephen King was one of my favorite authors as well.
I need to watch the new series about Welcome to Derry.
Yeah. Actually, fun story. I love reading horror, but I cannot watch or TV series or movies that are horror. Yeah, I am unable to sleep if I do it. So yeah, it's kind of like weird, but
you are a creative person.
Yeah.
So you kind of filter with your interpretation of the things that you are reading to a level that, okay, it's terrible, but I can sleep after that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the visuals but
it's actually interesting.
It's interesting, yeah.
Have you ever written horror stuff too?
Yeah, I have. I participated in a few anthologies, like for original stories, not fan fiction, but published by 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 Editora. And there were a few of them that were horror anthologies.
If they make a movie about it...
Not there yet.
No, but then you have to watch it.
I would have to, yeah. I wonder if it would be different.
Why have I written it so well? You know?
That's actually interesting to think about.
Okay, a good question from Marcel here. Hello, Marcel. What makes you decide to join a new fandom? Okay, because I imagine it consumes a lot of time, especially for really involved in the creation. How do you decide, I'm going to be part of this one too?
I think you don't actually decide it's like it just drags you into it because it's just like obviously it's usually when I start like reading or watching something new and then I just like end up interacting with content. So like I finished watching and then I'm gonna call it anime, but it's actually a 动画, which is Chinese animation, recently called To Be Hero X. And as soon as I finished it, I was like searching for fan fiction to read, reading fan art. So like I'm automatically in the fandom, and like now 1 month later, I'm already in projects for it and stuff. So it's like it just happens to you. You don't choose it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically like as soon as you start getting really involved with it, you're just like part of it already.
It's a very healthy hobby if you think about interaction with stuff that you like with other people that have the same interests. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, now you mentioned a few words that I have never seen before. Can you give us like a list of some vocab that is common to have in fandom? Take notes.
Okay, let me try to remember some that we talked about. You mentioned bias, which is very popular in K-pop fandoms, and it would mean like your favorite member in a group. So
Fulano with my bias.
Yeah, exactly. But in fandom specifically, we do have a lot of terms. You have like fanon and canon, I think are the most well-known ones, which would be canon is what actually happens in the official story, and fanon is anything that's created by the fans. And from those words, you have fan writing, fan fiction, fan art, which is art writing from the fans. You have fanzines, which are projects, books actually created containing some of those contents by fans. And you have headcanons, which is a really fun one. It's not like literally canon as in like the firearm.
Like boom.
Yeah, it's not, you are not firing heads. But it's basically something that you think about a character, like you make it canon, so official in your mind, but it's not technically official. That's why it's a head canon.
It makes a lot of sense now. I don't know if I can say that, but no, I'm not. Maybe. I consume a lot of things from One Piece, you know. I normally, I like to read the new chapters. Actually, I don't read. I wait for a group of guys that they narrate and make theories and discuss. So I normally, every time there's a new chapter, I go to this YouTube channel and I watch there, and then I see the theories and everything like that, the discussions. A lot of things in One Piece, the guys will say, oh, this is my red canon. This character is actually a brother of blah, 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 blah. I imagine red canon meant something like, this is my prediction that is going to happen. But it's not quite that. It could be, but it's like, this is what I believe to be canon, basically.
Yeah, it's like that. It's literally like canon in your head. That's why head canon. So some people do take it a bit too seriously, as in like, if I head canon it, then it's official, and if you don't agree with me, then like, yeah. There are the kind of people. Don't be the kind of people if you're joining fandom, because ultimately it's just like having fun, and a lot of people use that to find comfort in characters. So maybe like, oh, I feel uncomfortable with this thing about myself, but if I had canon that this character also has it and can overcome it, then I can use that to help me as well. It's like really helpful for a lot of people, I think, to think that way.
But it causes some friction, some discussions there. You mentioned like,
it does.
Sometimes people create a fanfic and wait, my headcanon is not there.
How happens, a lot more often than I would like to. But yeah, some people really do take it way too seriously, so they can get like really inflamed about the silliest things. And that's why I said that it's important to curate your experience, because people are going to be mean and they are going to send hate and stuff. You just have to learn to like, there's block features, there's a lot of things that you can use to help stay away from these people. Just like, don't engage, you know. That's the main thing. They're looking for attention. Don't engage.
This is the best advice that I remember there was a time 10 years ago, up to 2000, I guess it was from 2015, 16 that I changed it. I used to lose a lot of time discussing online with people that it was like an anime avatar or like whatever, about something that really, it was important for me because it was a subject that I like, but I would never change the opinion of the person or the perspective. When I realized that I could just click in another tab or just like ignore, so much better. The thing that happens is that sometimes people don't have the opportunity or someone to discuss, that every chance they have, they grab like, oh my God, let's, you know. So it's a very good advice. Something very interesting too, sometimes, going back to the fanfic thing, sometimes the fanfic is better than the canon, and how people react in those communities. Sometimes like, I can think of, we were talking about Jujutsu, spoiler alert, but probably everybody knows up to date. Come on, everybody knows. Probably. But I remember Jujutsu, Game of Thrones, Star Wars too, but let's focus in Jujutsu, for example. But how people normally react when somebody writes something better than the original story. Like, oh my God, I hope the author sees this.
Yeah, I think that there's a general feeling where they're like, oh, I wish this was the canon. But I think the wonderful thing about fandom is that some people really link the two, as in like, it's the same thing to fully enjoy 100% the canon content and being fandom. But it's not like that. That's kind of what fandom is for. So if you don't like something in the story, you can just ignore it. People are just like, okay, it didn't happen, we're gonna pretend it didn't happen, we're just going to consider this our canon now. It happens a lot with stuff like that, and basically people just ignore it and like, oh, whatever, we're just gonna keep creating what we want, what we imagine. And that's the wonderful thing, because it's just like, you don't have to have every single thing in canon cater to what you wanted, and you can still have fun with it, just because everyone's there to share with your opinions and create stuff and give you new scenarios to think about.
Was there ever a fanfic that you like it so much that you went to the point of please keep writing this, don't end this?
Oh my god, so many. Yeah, there are a lot. I have some actually printed, like that I actually have books of them, because a lot of people do that. They print like just, it's usually like small scale, obviously. They're not gonna be like bestsellers or anything, but some people actually get so popular that they actually print their things and stuff. So I've had a few authors that I've got to the point where I bought it because I enjoy it just as much as some of the official books that I've read.
Very nice.
And there are a lot of authors that like, I'm just like, I'm subscribed to them on Archive of Our Own, which is our website that hosts fan fictions. And whenever I get the notif that they posted something new, I'm just like, oh, I know what I'm gonna read tonight.
Oh, this is amazing because it gives room for so many artists that will never maybe be published, not because of the talents, but because maybe it's a very strict door to enter, or the thing that one person indicates the other and opens some doors. So that's very, very cool. It's one of the perks of the internet. Okay, there are the trolls, there is sometimes hate content, yada yada, all of that. But for example, you would have a person with an amazing talent. If he's a musician, he can get his cell phone, get a guitar and start singing, everybody can see. Or if he's a writer, the same stuff. So it really helps in terms of access, right? Is it possible that some authors, they check the content of fandom, or they have this like, oh, don't read, because a lot of them online, they say don't read the comments, blah 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 blah. But do you think it's possible that they like spies, they infiltrate there? Definitely,
I really think some do. I think there are like both sides of it. There are some that just don't interact at all. But I do think that they really must have been checking it at least sometimes, some of them, even if they don't interact, especially because sometimes it can get like out of hand if they interact, because it's like, oh, you're defending this person or not this person, this headcanon and not that headcanon.
They can create a fake profile,
Yeah.
There is a rumor in the group, the Facebook group of the band Angra is very funny place. I'm saying this live. Okay, but some people believe that part of the former members are there, and sometimes you will see like a troll post and you will see the comments, oh, come on, I'm not gonna say the name, of course, but Fulan, I know it's you. Like, what?
Yeah.
I hope, George or Martin is one of those. I hope he's there reading and like, okay, I'm gonna use this one here.
Change this.
Oh, come on. Yeah. And in One Piece, some of the theories that I've read from fans, they are amazing. I love One Piece with all my heart. I really love. But I have seen so many good things coming from fans that if the author follows that, that's gonna be amazing. Okay, well, some messages here. Good evening. Okay, hi Simone. Simone Madeira and Simone Xavier here. Two Simones, okay. Good evening. How do you see the impact of online communities on the way fans connect and interact now? So, okay, the impact of the communities in how they interact.
I think that with the way that it is right now, I think that it's really amazing in terms of the reach it can get because of online, not having the geographic limitations. And I think that it can really go beyond the actual content of fandom. Like we've talked about people using fanfics and stuff to express their emotions and everything, but I think it's also a very positive learning ground for things. English, for example, like I said, I learned it in fandom, but you also have people organizing groups and to help others learn new skills like writing, for example. You have people doing critiques, you have people organizing events in real life, actually going outside of using the online platforms to organize events like charity events, for example.
Nice.
And I think that it's really become like a world of its own with a lot of levels to it.
And it's interesting to see that, for example, I imagine it's like finding gold. Where are you from? In a city that's like 100 kilometers, or maybe people from the same city, the same state.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you had the BTS concert that you could meet her. What's her name?
Me.
Me. Okay, you could
Yeah.
meet me there. So, and especially the event was kind of perfect in this way. So it's nice. It's so nice. For example, I'll give the silliest example. I went fishing the other day, and there was an old man fishing there, and I said, "Oh, hello. Is it a good day today?" Blah 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 blah. You know, and he was very friendly. We started chatting, and then I was leaving my house, and this same old man was going down the street on a bicycle. I said, "Oh, so Luis, hello, how are you? Do you live around?" "Yeah, I do." And I felt so happy, like, oh, my new friends, you know.
Yeah.
So in these communities, I imagine you could meet, I don't know, hundreds of people with the same interest.
Yeah.
Could be overwhelming, of course. But like you said, there is no limitation. It's amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
A comment here from Simone. Watching, congrats, nice interview, pretty girl.
Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, now tell me about maybe like an obvious question, but you mentioned My Hero Academia, and we were talking a bit about Jujutsu. What is like your top 5 animes, and are you still up to date with them? Or not animes, but animes and mangas, maybe.
I'm not as up to date as I like to be, but I think my favorite ones recently were, I'm going to include the donghwas here as well,
Okay.
just because a lot of people consider them anime. They're available on Crunchyroll and everything.
It's an animation, but it's not
it's
Japanese.
just that, yeah, it's made by a Chinese company, but it's still like animation. But my favorite one were To Be Hero X that I mentioned
What's the plot
recently.
of this one?
It's about superheroes, obviously, and they
like
have
those.
this really interesting concept where heroes get their powers from something called trust value. It's basically, you know, that thing that you get actually in every single superhero movie where the hero, they're just like almost beat by the villain, and they're just like laying on the ground and almost out of
the 𝗲𝗃𝗵𝗶𝗶 moment.
yeah, exactly. And then their friends are just, "No, I believe in you. You can do this. Get up."
Genkidama moment.
Yeah, that's it. But they actually they took it and ran with it. So they're like, let's make it an actual thing. People get their powers from people believing in them.
All right.
So when people believe in the heroes, their trust value goes up and they get more powers.
This is actually what happens to the brands online.
Yeah.
And
if you
to
think about
famous people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck, that's a genius concept. For example, there is an actor, it's involved in some scandal, never happened, involved in some scandal. Automatically, he are gonna lose the roles.
Yeah.
Right? And the opposite too, there is this new actor, maybe he has a secondary role, but everybody love it. His agent's gonna start making deals the next week, you know. So
Yeah.
very interesting to imagine, because it kind of, in a way, it makes sense talking about heroes. It gives this incentive to make other people appreciate you and appreciate what you do, and
Yeah, but
the trust level, right?
Yeah, but I think it's also really interesting because that would be just very simple if it were just that, but it also the way people perceive you can actually physically affect you. So you have one character, for example, that people believe him to be perfect. He's like the perfect hero. He starts developing some symptoms of OCD because of it. So
Nice.
there's
a side effect.
tricky side to it, yeah. So it's really interesting because they really took the concept and made it very,
What's the
very
name again?
detailed.
I'm gonna check
To Be
this.
Hero X. It's available on Crunchyroll.
Hero X, like the letter X.
Yeah, the letter X.
Hero and X-Men, huh?
It's really good. And then another one from, you asked my top 5, but another one from the same studio, it's called Link Click. Which is kind of has this murder mystery vibes, but also with superpowers involved. Not hero superpowers, but there's also powers involved. I really don't know how to explain it. You gotta watch it because otherwise it will spoil it. But it's also really, really good. And I think the other ones that I watched, they're kind of old ones because I'm really not up to date with the newest ones. But I really like 𝗲𝗀𝗎 Yujinshō, or Natsume's Book of Friends in English. It's kind of like a slice of life kind of anime, so it isn't like super heavy on the action stuff, but it's supernatural, so it has like yokai, the Japanese monster spirits and stuff, and it's this guy who has to find yokais to return their names to them, and it's
Return
really
their name, like they forgot their story or something.
Basically, his grandmother had a book where she would defeat the yokais and she would get their names, so she would have control over them. And when she died, she left him the book, but he doesn't want to have control over the yokai, so the yokais usually come after him to get the names, and he basically has to give them back, but not all of them are friendly, so there's just but it's really, really nice.
Is it creepy or
no,
something like
it's actually I consider it a feel-good anime because, like I said, it's a very strange combination, slice of life and supernatural, because slice of life is usually like not a lot of things happening and stuff. It's mostly about common life, the common things. But in this case, they paired it with supernatural, so the focus is still like the day-to-day life of Natsume, of this character, but there are yokai going after him. So it's actually
because
really
this is actually another
interesting.
thing. They're really thinking out of the box, because it's slice of life, the way you described it, is that joke that we make. If the stories are perfect, like nobody would watch. I mean, not nobody is just a hyperbole, but people normally wouldn't watch a story of person wake up, takes a shower, has breakfast, goes to work, goes back, I don't know, feeds the cat, and that's it. There is something has to happen, right?
Yes.
And then the way is that, oh no, it's like a normal life, but there are yokais around. So,
yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much the concept, yeah.
But it's nice because
really cool.
it makes it kind of unpredictable. You are watching a normal day, and then there is this bus driver and a monster right next to him.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what's my name?
Pretty much, yeah. And like he's the only one who can see yokai, so that's like another thing that adds to it. But there are, I think the 7th season is about to come out, so like if anyone wants to watch it, there's like a lot of content to keep you busy.
What's the name again?
Natsume's Book of Friends.
Okay.
Natsume's Book of Friends.
Okay. Nice. Okay, and considering the things that you have actually watched, okay, what are your favorite moments there? For example, think of, we were talking a bit before My Hero Academia, for example. There is some part of the story there that you say, oh my god, this is epic, blah blah blah, you know. For me, what was very nice when he started to develop the powers and you have the voices. I'll try not to spoil for you. Is there anyone any show or anime or manga that there was this very specific moment? Oh my god, this is amazing, the best one ever.
There is this one. It's actually another one in my top 5 called The Ancient Magus Bride. And it's about a girl who gets adopted by a mage who's like this weird creature. It's not really human, and she has magical powers as well. And there's this scene, and I think that what I like about it is actually the visuals, because it's really pretty. But I think she's in the land of dragons and with another mage, and they're singing. Basically, one of these mages uses music as his powers, and everything like kind of lights up, and it becomes really beautiful because there's like the singing and the magical creatures and the lights. And I really like, whenever I think about this anime, I think about this scene because it's really, really pretty. And this is like overall a very emotional anime as well, so the contest also adds to it.
What's the name again?
Ancient Magus Bride.
Ancients. Okay, nice. It reminds me of the beginning of the book 𝗬𝗎𝗃𝗀 when Tolkien describes the creation of stuff, that they sing a song and then start creating everything, you know.
Yeah, I think it's really similar in that way.
Oh, great interview, amazing girl. Okay, people love you here.
Thank you, guys.
Now, tell me about this. I asked this question specifically to know about your source of inspiration, because you also write. Are you currently developing anything that you can share, of course?
I do write, yeah. I do. I don't write original stuff anymore. I do have a few things published in those anthologies that I mentioned, but I mostly write fan fiction since it's just a hobby. Although I am working on a few things right now, I can really talk about them because they're for those fanzine projects that I mentioned. They're going to be actually published like in book format. They're actually sold.
Stay tuned.
So, yeah. But in terms of inspiration, I think it's pretty much everything. Like, I can see a piece of fan art from an artist and I'm like, oh my god, this is really cool, can I write a story based on this? It actually happens a lot. Or like I said, in these fanzine projects, they're often about a certain theme or character. So you have like a fanzine about Deku from My Hero Academia, and the theme is I don't know, like it's him overcoming his difficulties or something like that. But
that I would read.
That also becomes inspiration because then I have to think of like the ideas based on that. So I think it's pretty much comes from anything, or like music, or even in real life things, like a situation. Like, let's say something happens to me and I'm like, what if it was this character in this situation? I can write about that. Cool. A lot of people do that actually. So
it's basically like this way out of your creativity. Just that's very nice because I guess people say, okay, if you work with what you love, you won't have to work. They have that story. But I imagine if you work for a publisher, you will have deadlines, you will have goals, and then you will have the fans' opinion about what you are producing. I have seen this with musicians, for example. The artist decides to be creative, or maybe it's not the artist, it's like the manager, the production. And they release a new album or a new season, new volume of the show or new season, and it's very different than the way the things used to be, and there is a backlash, so the public rejects. So you have all this pressure there. But when you are creating like this, you know, you don't have the obligation even to continue. It can be like a one shot, or if you really enjoy and other people connect with you, you can keep doing. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's really fair. And even if you don't want to keep doing it, like, let's say you started writing a multi-chapter fic and you got tired of it in the middle of it, or something happened in your life and you don't have time anymore, or you got out of fandom and started watching something else, you can just drop it. There are a lot of dropped fics. It's sad for the people who are reading it, of course, but it happens. Please. So it's really like, you can do whatever you want pretty much.
People normally use like an alias to publish. Oh, that's very safe.
Yeah, a lot of people do because it is the internet and stuff.
People cannot reach like, you stop it writing this. Finish the story.
Yeah, a lot of people like don't even use their real names. They just use like their fandom alias and stuff because of security. Like, it is the internet. You have to be careful. It's just,
if you write
it's not
too
like
well, there could
a
be
field of flowers.
Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Do you think fandoms have the power to change the source material? For example, I was imagining, I don't know, Lady Gaga releases a new album the public hates, for example, and then because of the negative reviews and comments, the next album will be like the original ones. And this it happens like, for example, when there is something that there is this backlash, they influence the canon events or the original stuff?
I think so. I don't think it's a rule, but I think it happens just because fandom can get really organized. And like when you have everyone just like joining their voices together, and they really can make themselves be heard. So I think, especially when it's like artists and stuff where their sales are banking on their fans wanting to continue like purchasing things, they might want to listen if like the majority of people are complaining, and then they might even see like, okay, so they're complaining, but what kind of things were they praising? What did they like? Let's dig around a little and see if we can find out.
Okay, so you guys watching here, if you're part of the Game of Thrones fandom, no, I'm joking. Don't harass the old man. Don't do that. Don't. He knows. Believe me, he knows. Okay, well, what are the things that you were following that you dropped and you are there wishing that something changed and continue? Jujutsu is one of them,
Yeah,
right?
Jujutsu Kaisen is one of them, and actually My Hero Academia as well. Like, I'm still active in the fandom part of it, but I stopped reading the manga.
So you can separate.
You can. Yeah, you can, because like I said, you can still create fan art and read fanfic. There are people creating content all the time. So even if you don't like or consume the source material anymore, that doesn't mean you can't be part of the community that was built around it. But My Hero Academia was one that I also ended up dropping. Then I caught some spoilers about what happened. I was like, yeah, I'm not going back there.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is your husband part of the fandom too? Because you mentioned your bridesmaid.
Yeah, he isn't. I like to say that he kind of is by osmosis, because he has to hear me talk about it all the time. So he even knows all the vocab by now, I think. But he's not like active part of it. He also likes anime, manga. We watch series together and stuff. But he's not like active part of the community like I am.
This is something difficult for couples. When I watch something with my wife, I already give up because like this. I watch it in my own pace. So if I started watching some show, I can watch everything in one weekend, or I can watch maybe in a month, like one episode in 2 days, something like this. But we have different biological clocks. So if it's midnight or 11 p.m. and I want to watch something, let's say tomorrow is a day that I can wake up at 9 and not at 5. So I said, I can go to bed at 1 a.m. or midnight. She's already there, But that's the thing. If it's a show that I really want to watch, I get in this dilemma,
It's difficult.
I was rewatching Game of Thrones, and then it was very funny. She passed, I'm like, oh, you are watching this again? I want to watch too. And I said, that's it, 1 year now. But it happens to you too when you guys decide something, or no, it's easier to?
No, I think it's easier for us because we have we usually Saturday nights are like our TV show nights, movie nights. So we have the stuff that we watch together. And then, maybe he's watching a show or I'm watching a show that's by ourselves, So we have, right now we're watching, from animes, we're watching 𝗀𝗵𝗺𝗃, and we're watching that Apple TV series 𝗬𝗏𝗧. So those are the ones we're watching together. So we only watch it during our movie series nights. But then, if I want to watch, an anime that he's not going to watch, then I just watch it in my own time. To Be Hero X, for example, I watched it in a week by myself, and then I rewatched it with him over the course of a few weekends.
I'll try to do that.
So
it happened with 𝗬𝗀 𝗃, by the way. We were talking about that. Oh, what is this? It looks interesting. And that's it. Okay, about that, we are running out of time already. Damn, Thais. What would you recommend people to watch? Some series or shows, or something that would be worthy being part of the fandom that you could recommend to people watching it?
I think I already mentioned a few. To Be Hero X, I think it's one of my favorites right now. And I think from TV shows that I've watched recently, I really enjoyed watching one called 𝗫𝗨. I don't remember right now where it was available. It's based on Apple TV. Thank you.
Or Jack Sparrow TV.
Apple TV. But yeah, 𝗫𝗨 was really good. It's also based on a book series. and I think it's popular, but maybe not as well known as some of the other recent series it has been. So I really recommend that one as well.
What's the plot of this one?
It's basically a dystopian story where it's like people live inside silos. So basically, they don't know what happened to the outside world. They've been living in silos for hundreds of years. And basically, whenever people go out, they just die. Like there's a camera that shows the outside and they see people dying. But then the main character starts like noticing there are a few things aren't adding up. And they start like, but what really happened? Like, why are we here? And they start digging, and basically that's all I can say without spoiling the plot.
It's
it's
very
really
nice
interesting.
plot, very interesting. It reminds me of that movie with Shyamalan, I guess, The Village. You know,
I don't think I've watched that one.
I don't want to say anything about it, but it's like this: people isolated in a village, blah blah blah. If they leave, they die because of monsters, something like this.
That sounds interesting, but yeah. It's really
Walter said, "Congrats, that is amazing." We don't have a lot of time anymore. We can try to finish My Hero Academia and then have an episode about it, you know. Or maybe I know what would be nicer. We get some fanfics about them, and we choose the best one, and
that would be nice.
And then it becomes the headcanon.
Yeah, that's definitely a good option.
Okay, I'll look for I'll look it up for it. Final message to everyone watching us.
I just want to thank everyone who was watching. Go look at the camera.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But thank you to everyone for watching, for hearing us blab about fandoms for an hour. I'd already told Mike before, but I could talk about this for like another hour if you let me. So just thank you, and thank you to everyone who sent questions as well. And tune in for the next podcast episode next week.
Yes. And we mentioned Comic-Con. There is some stuff coming out about that.
Watch our socials.
Exactly. Do that and be nice to Thais, okay?
Please.
Thanks, guys, for being here with us. Don't forget, subscribe, leave a comment, share this with someone who likes and would like to practice, and hope to see you next week on our next episode of Talking Times. Bye-bye.